All right, this week our theme is Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So we're going to be reading all kinds of Goldilocks and the Three Bears stories. These are my favorite stories to read. I have lots of different kinds for us. So this one is called The Three Bears. It doesn't have Goldilocks' name in the title, just The Three Bears. By Paul Galdone. That's the name of the author. Once upon a time, there were 3 bears who lived together in a house of their own in the woods. There they are. One of them was a wee little bear. One was a middle-sized bear, and the other was a great big bear. They each had a bowl for their porridge. The little wee bear had a little wee bowl. The middle-sized bear had a middle-sized bowl. And the great big bear had a great big bowl. And they each had a chair to sit on. Little wee bear had a little wee chair. Wee means small. Middle-sized bear had a middle-sized chair. And the great big bear had a great big chair. And they each had their own bed to sleep in. Little wee bear had a little wee bed. Middle-sized bear had a middle-sized bed. And the great big bear had a great big bed. One morning, the 3 bears made porridge for their breakfast, and they poured it into their bowls. Porridge is kind of like an oatmeal, but it was too hot to eat. So they decided to go for a walk in the woods until it cooled. So there it is, steaming hot, too hot to eat. And while the bears went walking, a little girl named Goldilocks came to their house. Now, hair can be called locks, and she has golden hair, so that's why her name is Goldilocks. First, she looked in at the window. Then she peeked in through the keyhole. Of course, nobody was inside because the bears were on a walk. So Goldilocks turned the handle of the door. Now, I don't know about friends in TK, but I know better than to go into someone's house without knocking. Not good. The door was not locked because the 3 bears were trusting bears. They did no harm to anyone, and they never thought anyone would harm them. So Goldilocks opened the door and went right in. There was the porridge on the table. It smelled very, very good. Goldilocks did not stop to think whose porridge it was. She went straight to it. First, she tasted the porridge of the great big bear, but it was too hot. Ugh. Then she tasted the porridge of the middle-sized bear, but it was too cold. Yuck! Then she tasted the porridge of the little wee bear. It was neither too hot nor too cold, but just right, and Goldilocks liked it so much that she ate it all up. Then Goldilocks went into the parlor to see what else she could find. Now, a parlor, what room do you think a parlor is? Maybe a place where they have chairs, like a living room or a sitting room? There were the 3 chairs. First, she sat down in the chair of the great big bear, but it was too hard. Then she sat down in the chair of the middle-sized bear, but it was too soft. And then she sat down in the chair of the little wee bear. It was neither too hard nor too soft, but just right. And Goldilocks liked it so much that she rocked and she rocked and she rocked until she rocked so hard that the bottom of the chair fell out. And down she went, plump, onto the floor. She broke little wee bear's chair. Then Goldilocks went into the bedroom where the 3 bears slept. First, she lay down upon the bed of the great big bear, but it was too high at the head for her. Then she lay down upon the bed of the middle-sized bear, but it was too high at the foot for her. Then she lay down upon the bed of the little wee bear. It was neither too high at the head nor too high at the foot, but it was just right, so cozy. Goldilocks liked it so much that she covered herself up and she fell fast asleep. She even started to snore. Can you hear her? By this time, the three bears thought their porridge would be cool enough, so they came home to have their breakfast. Goldilocks had left the spoon of the great big bear in his porridge bowl, and he noticed it first thing.
"Somebody has been tasting my porridge,"
said the great big bear in his great big voice. Goldilocks had left the spoon of the middle-sized bear in her porridge too. "Somebody has been tasting my porridge," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. And when wee little bear looked at his bowl, he said, "Somebody has been tasting my porridge and has eaten it all up." The three bears went into the parlor. Goldilocks had left the cushion crooked in the chair of the great big bear, and he noticed it first thing.
"Somebody has been sitting in my chair,"
said the great big bear in his great big voice. Goldilocks had squashed down the cushion of the chair of the middle-sized bear. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. Then little wee bear looked at his chair. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair and sat right through it," cried little wee bear in his little wee voice. Then the three bears went into the bedroom. Goldilocks had pulled the pillow of the great big bear out of its place, and he noticed it first thing.
"Somebody has been lying in my bed,"
said the great big bear in his great big voice. Goldilocks had pulled the blanket of the middle-sized bear out of place on her bed. "Somebody has been lying in my bed," said middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. Uh-oh, do you hear her? Shh. Then little wee bear looked at his bed. "Somebody has been lying in my bed, and here she is!" cried the little wee bear in his little wee voice. This woke Goldilocks up at once. The three bears were all staring at her. Look, she has one eye open. She woke up. Goldilocks was so frightened. She tumbled out of the bed and she ran to an open window. And she jumped out. She ran away as fast as she could and she never looked behind her. No one knows what happened to Goldilocks after that. As for the three bears, they never saw her again. She did not come back. The end.